Greetings, everyone. I hope you all are having an amazing day. I am. I'm just kind of taking it easy today. I was going to do some laundry, but anyways, I'll do that tomorrow. I just wanted to talk about nasty attitudes. In metaphysical world, that's like lower vibrational behaviors, thoughts. I personally feel like people that live in these lower vibrational frequencies, I think there's some type of demonic energy. Whether they're actually infested with demons, whether they're NPCs, non-player characters. Anytime you're around a person who's like straight up a bully, who wants to bully other people, whether it's a child that acts like this, whether it's an adult that acts like this, they're just nasty. And those kind of behaviors, dominating, domineering, mean girl, nasty attitude, gossiping, beating people up, whether it's your kids or whether it's other children on the playground, is nasty. And even though we're all operating on a vibrational frequency, you can, even if you're in a good mode, like a good mood, a good vibe, you can run into a person that's just a nasty attitude, just simply by going out into the matrix, going out into the public. If you get really good at it, at maintaining your higher vibrational state, it will happen less frequently. Like yesterday, I had a really interesting day. It was a good day. I just continually ran into higher vibrational beings, people of like mind. Whether it was on the telephone, customer service, whether it was my landlady or whomever I was talking to. So I feel like most people would just say, well, work on attitude. But attitude also is created through thoughts. This is not to say we all can't have a bad day. I mean, all of us do. Honestly, when I do run into individuals like this, it does sometimes make me want to say something. And there are times where you do need to say something. Most often, for me, it's not even worth the effort. Like today, there was someone who was kind of a little rude to me. They were younger. And I thought about saying something, and I'm like, it's just not worth it. Like, people are so convinced that their little world is reflected throughout the universe. Like Mean Girls or, someone who's popular in high school, they think they're the shit. And if they went to a larger city, they wouldn't be anything. And I'm not just saying, city versus country. I'm just using that as an example. Like the football star or even a CEO. Say you had like a highfalutin CEO that works in like a large city like Boston or New York. No shade to those places. But they're used to like being waited on hand and foot, catered to, and all these things. If they came out to my neck of the woods, people would be like, the fuck are you talking about? Put on some blue jeans and a flannel, Let's go to the range. You know what I mean? What I mean is just like these pompous, holier than thou attitudes, which we all know is narcissistic. When a narcissist loses control over you, they go all out to control what other people think about you. That's why you really have to be careful when people are really into gossip. It's not to say that sometimes I don't get nosy. Of course I do. But when you have someone constantly talking badly about other people or sharing like really personal information about them, you really need to do a side eye. It reminds me of what my mom used to always say. You know, she wasn't like super religious, but she did believe in God and the 10 Commandments in the Bible. And she would say, do unto others as you have done unto you. Although I don't always agree with that one. Like if somebody's pummeling you and being mean to you or your family, I believe you have to fight back. But there are times and places. I can't help but think about Coward of the County. And the way that song ended up, Kenny Rogers was pretty vague. You can feel negative vibes through people's disposition, whether they're a child or whether they are an adult. And I mean, honestly, like at what point do we give children a pass? Even if that child has been abused. And I don't go for any child abuse whatsoever in any shape or form. When children are given no consequences, they become these entitled brats that we see. And I'm just going to use wealthy kids as an example. No shade to all the wealthy kids, but how many times have we seen those stories of frat parties? You know, the young men are from like prestigious families or whatever names they are, and they'll gang a young woman who came to the party, which was mistake number one, but obviously the young girl didn't think that was going to happen to her. And then there are some guys that'll come forward and they'll be like, they'll snitch on them, which happens sometimes, because they feel terrible because they were there and I don't know, like, I'm just saying some of them later will say, you know, they'll snitch on them. And they won't necessarily be the perpetrator, but because it was like a whole group of these disgusting, filthy pigs, they didn't know what to do. And then again, that's where like, I forgot what the name of it is called, but I always use groupthink, but there's a name, like psychologists have given it a name when you have a group of people, and it could be teenagers. Teenagers are a great example, or young adults, where there's a whole group of people and they're pressuring a person to do something they would not normally do, like, for example, drink or take drugs that they don't believe in. And young people have ended up 6 feet below because of this. Groupthink is a way to explain it, but it's not exactly, I forgot what it's called, but it's like when a person gives into peer pressure, kind of like the whole world did last 6 years, right? But anyways, I was just thinking about, because I had a very like meditative, relaxing day. And yesterday was somewhat meditating. I mean, I had a lot to do, but I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I have to be more mindful of my own energy and not get caught up in energy that does not belong to me. You know what I mean? Like, why would I allow my psyche or my thoughts to get intertwined or entangled with very low vibrational negative human beings, allegedly? I've really been enjoying these various YouTube videos with nature visions, like visions of nature, like geese flying, animals, and a nice music, like nice music in the video. I'm trying to see which one I'm watching now. Oh, the one I'm listening to, it's live. It's called Autumn Scenic Roads. Beautiful autumn, fall foliage, acoustic guitar music by Open Road Folk Music. It's so amazing. And all of my tasks that I really needed to get done, most of them were done today. Did a little reading, a little bit of listening to Coast to Coast. Anyhow, I'm going off again. You guys know how I get. But I just want to say that those kind of things are what lift my vibrational frequency, my thought vibration. But I got to thinking about it. Well, part of it with me is that I think it's the Celt Viking DNA that I have, to be really honest. And I have a lot of it. I have a little bit of a hodgepodge, but the majority of my DNA is Celt Viking. And I've got the proof on one of those genetic websites. I got to go back to it because I kind of stopped, but I got really far. So the point I'm making is, like, and I don't know if you guys go through this, but like, at what point do you not have to prove yourself and always want to stand up for the little guy or the one being bullied? I mean, I'm always going to have some of it. But if it interferes in your peace, you know what I mean? It's like you got to find a balance. And the infamous Mean Girls. This is an image, like an AI image. It makes me embarrassed that they have these young girls dressed so scantily. But yeah, I mean, it's vibrational frequency. And as I sit back and realize, I'm thinking, I feel sorry for some of these folks. Like, not in the fact that I'd want to help them or do something to benefit their lives or their families or whatever, because you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. You know what I mean? But I think certain people that are more vested into the matrix unconscious really illusions, the nastier they can be. The bullies, the narcissists, the psychopaths, the sociopaths. I mean, just look at where the world is. You guys know I don't watch the news. I haven't watched it. Well, I haven't never watched it, but I haven't watched it in a long time. There's a war on consciousness. And me personally, being a Gen Xer, I'm really shocked to see. I mean, I know what's going on. It's social engineering, but it's shocking to me to see young girls and teenage girls and even young adult women acting exactly like boys, like fighting and scratching and all this craziness is like crazy to me. But that's because there were a whole lot of evildoers working very hard to annihilate any type of natural dispositions of women and men. And I'm not talking about sexuality. I'm talking about just being feminine. You know, like wearing a dress, wearing a slip. You guys know what I mean? Like soft, just being softer. That's what I mean. Like, I think a woman should be strong. But yeah, anyways. It's created a lot more real nasty mean girls. I had to take myself to the emergency room a while back when I had pneumonia. And I couldn't help, I was not in a good way. Whew. I was sitting in the wheelchair just because I was like really weak. But I couldn't help but overhear this mother had brought her young daughter in, teenage girl, maybe a junior in high school, maybe a senior, I think maybe a junior. And a bunch of girls and she's kind of like the emo type, which no shade to that. You know how high school can be. She kind of had an emo-ish look, punky or whatever. And a group of girls had attacked her all at one time. What is that called? Like, there's a name for that. I wasn't trying to listen. I couldn't help but hear what was being said. And you guys know me. I'm a little crazy in a good way. I said, looks like she needs to go to self-defense class. Facts. And then her mom's like, yep, that's what I'm thinking. Go back and kick all their asses. Yeah, anyways, like the remaining people in the emergency room agreed. I said, I'm not trying to spread her business, but I couldn't help it, Stuff like that just annoys me. Go on trying to pick on someone, and especially like a group against one person. I really don't like that. I got some good advice, I've been on the earth for a while. I feel like I've learned through a lot of my experiences, whereas a lot of people just keep flopping around like a fish out of water, doing the same things over and freaking over. But I think all young girls should learn how to do some type of martial arts, boxing, even though that does take away from a little girl being feminine. Definitely allow your little girl to be feminine and do all the girl stuff. If that's like what makes her feel good. If she's more tomboyish, let her do her thing, just let her be herself. But those kind of girls need a lesson. And I said in the emergency room, and you guys, I was so sick. I said, just make sure it's off school grounds, because you know what kind of shit's going on these days. Man, back in my day, like two boys would have a fight. Usually the girls didn't fight, not that they never would fight, but it was not like fighting like boys do. But two boys would have a fight, have a fist fight, get mad about whatever. What is that hormone that the guys have? I think testosterone. They're teenagers and all that kind of stuff. And I think the boys had more of it back then. They get in a fight. A teacher and the principal would break it up. They'd both go to detention. If it was a really bad situation, the parents would be called. If it wasn't super bad, nobody was called. They got sent home to cool off. And that was it. Maybe some detention time. That's it. Not now. We have to have security guards all involved in children's personal thoughts and feelings and all this shit. So Man, I'm going off on a while here. Wait for my food to heat up. But yeah, anyways, you guys, I went from left to right, up and down, all over the world. But me personally, I just feel like mostly I don't really want to deal with these folks. But if I feel like the situation warrants it, I will do it. I had to do that twice in my breast cancer journey. And there's one entity I'm not finished with. The other one, that person, she's going to learn, and everything's documented, and it had to be done. So anyways, you guys, wonder what you're thinking about mean girls and nasty bad attitudes. Peace.